What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly sports history for June 10th, 2024. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a Monday edition of the podcast, the first official episode of my summer. Start summer hours today. So with that being said, quick housekeeping. It shouldn't be an issue. And if you get it on Apple or Spotify or any of the other podcast platforms or YouTube, you won't notice anything. But if you're used to clicking links that I put on social media, some days it might be a little bit later. I start work a little bit earlier so I can get out a little bit earlier. But best way to avoid that is to subscribe to the YouTube channel or subscribe to one of the podcast platforms. Leave a review, give a 5-star rating, leave comments, all that other good stuff. But like I said, it'll be more impacting if you get it on social media, which is Jimbo_Mont on Twitter and TikTok, at Philly Jimbo on Instagram. The YouTube channel is Jimbo_Mont. I'm also on Facebook. I post the stuff on LinkedIn. So wherever you're getting this, I thank you. But like I said, it shouldn't affect anybody who gets on the podcast or YouTube. And it's mainly just because I don't want to be posting on my social media while I'm supposed to be working. You guys all know how that goes. As always, though, let's start with a recap of yesterday's question of the day. I asked you, who is the best catcher in Phillies history? Surprisingly, Chooch won with 35%. It's hard to make that argument against him, to be completely honest. So I shouldn't say too surprisingly, but Chooch won with 35% of the vote. JT was in second with 29%. Had a few write-in votes for Lieberthal. I, in good conscience, cannot put him over any of the four that I had originally picked. Not a lot of love for Dutch. And that's okay. I think I would go Chooch or JT over Dutch anyway. Give my mom a shout out because she wrote in Clay Dalrymple. Wasn't bad, but not in the same atmosphere as them. But I will shout my mom out for doing a write-in vote and for listening. Thanks, Mom. But Clay Dalrymple was the catcher on the 64 team that had the fold. A lot of good nicknames in this tournament. Chooch, Booney, Dutch. I don't know. Find out where they ranked, if they even made the tournament on June 21st. That's when we'll do our Selection Friday show for the nickname tournament. And then the Ultimate Philly Sports Nickname Tournament kicks off on June 24th. 2 matchups a day, 64 nicknames, broken into 4 regions. You decide what is the best Philly sports nickname of all time. That all kicks off on June 24th. June 21st, that Friday, we'll do our Selection Friday show, release the brackets, break them down, and then you have the weekend to just rip me. Looking forward to it. But 267-495-8531. That is the number to the Back to the Future voice and text line. Send me text messages. Leave me voicemails. I want to hear from you. If you were in London for the London series, let me know how that was. Get anything Philly sports related off your chest. I'm really trying to grow that voice and text line. So if you're bored, you're listening, don't do it while you're driving. But shoot me a text, shoot me a voicemail. Let me know what is on your mind Philly sports related. Again, all the information you need to for the Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame induction ceremony is in the description. All right. Well, they were due to have a game like this. Pretty good game. Phil's battled back, had the lead. You thought with Alvarado coming in, that was it. But Alvarado had a stinker. 6-5, Phil's lost. They did mount a comeback in the end, but it just wasn't meant to be. Now, a couple things about this game. One, everybody needs to relax. Alvarado had one bad game. He was on a tear. So the hate and the vitriol that people were going after him, relax. It's one game. We're used to, like, what Brad Lidge did in 2008 doesn't happen all the time. Guys have bad outings. He's also not on a Craig Kimbrell level where you have to be concerned about it. Just a bad outing. It wasn't like he was missing his spots by much. A lot of those balls were just off of the zone. Now, I'm not saying he was wild, like he wasn't hitting them, but it wasn't like he was missing bad. So I don't think there's any cause for panic. It's one game. Phil's still have a 9-game lead here on June 10th. It's going to be okay. I saw a lot of hate for Bohm on the bare hand attempt. And I don't know. I think if that wasn't like super bouncy turf, and it was turf that he was used to playing on, he might have made it. But, I mean, it was a tough hit ball. No need to, like I said, no need to go there. It's Castellanos, though. That might have been the shortest double play I've ever seen. The good old 2-3 double play. But we'll take it. Now, Tijuan Walker. Interesting. Did not pitch bad. 5 2/3, 2 runs, a walk, and 6 Ks. He also, I was listening to it. I was cutting trimming the hedges with my neighbor, and so I was listening to it, and it seemed as though, and I didn't get a chance to see this. So if anybody out there saw it, send a text or voicemail to the Back to the Future voice and text line. But he didn't seem, according to Fransky, and Stocker, they said he didn't seem too happy about coming out of that game. And obviously you saw what happened when he did come out. Gregory Soto quickly, which Gregory Soto, we'll touch on him later this week. He is struggling. But Tijuan didn't pitch that bad. And I tried to think about this logically because, I mean, he's had some struggles this year. He is our 5th starter, but I don't know. I mean, his numbers, are they looking worse because of how great the other 4 are? Something to think about. But I didn't think he pitched that bad yesterday, but that leads to today's question of the day. Has he done enough after seeing this game? It seems like this is a couple good outings for him in a row. Has he done enough to stay in the starting rotation? Should he get his next turn in the rotation? 267-495-8531. Let me know your thoughts on that. You can hit me up on the social media as well. But has Tijuan Walker earned his next start in the rotation? Let me know your thoughts on that. Text, leave a voicemail, 267-495-8531. Get you in. Phils will be back in action. They have a tough 6-game stretch coming up. 3 in Boston and then 3 in Baltimore. I would very much, I think 3-3, it would be a good stretch on this. Anything over that would be gravy, especially coming back from the overseas. But Boston, then Baltimore, so a little AL East action. And I believe the Yankees come into Citizens Bank Park after that. So they're doing the AL East tour. So tough schedule coming up for the Phils. We've built a nice little cushion, though. This is the luxury of playing so well and taking care of the business you should take care of, that when you do have tough stretches coming in, there's not as much high pressure to do well. So looking forward to the next 6 days. Like I said, 3-3 will be good for me. Help might be on the horizon. Trey Turner is coming back, which, what do you do with Edmundo Sosa? He talked about moving him into the outfield. Would not be opposed to that, but help is on the way. We're going to be okay. We have a 9-game lead. One bad outing from Alvarado does not mean we all freak out. So much needed day off for the Phils today. And again, they're back in action on Tuesday up in Boston. Get your Philly Goat shoes. I cannot stress this enough. Now that summer's here, I'm going to be wearing them every day. I'm wearing the Schmitties today, and they're just so comfortable. Like I've started to wear them around the house now because that's how comfortable they are. Check out the canvas loafers at Philly Goat. They have men's and women's sizes. Great selection. And I keep talking to, like, the fans are awesome, the Fanatic ones. But I bought the Cape Mays thinking they were going to be my go-to, and the Schmitties just do it. So go check out Philly Goat for the canvas loafers. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off your order. That's phillygoat.com. Promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off your order. The shoes are amazing. All right, some Sixers updates. Not really much in terms of the Sixers, but watching some of that NBA Finals game last night, which Boston, by the way, is up 2-0. it shows like, the Sixers don't need a third star. What I noticed, and just from watching replays and reading about it, is the Sixers need sort of a plethora of those role players, guys that can come in on any given night, pick up the slack. Because Tatum was not good early in that game last night, and the Celtics still had a lead. And to me, like when Joe's out of the game, if Joe's off early in a game, the Sixers build themselves a big hole because nobody else is able to step up or willing to step up, whatever you want to call it. So I don't know. Thinking about and watching this Celtics team and just how now they're one of the deeper teams in the league, so I get that, but they're able to withstand when their star player has an off night. And the Sixers don't have that luxury. Joe, and I think if they had that luxury, it might take some of the pressure off of Joe to feel the need that he has to score 40 points a night in order for the Sixers to have a chance to win. So just, I'm really, as I'm like paying attention to all of this, I'm starting to move toward the camp where, I mean, obviously I don't want the third star to be Paul George or Jimmy Butler. I've made that clear, but I'd rather get those guys that do the things that can pick up the slack when Joe is off. So just an interesting observation that I think the Sixers bench is way more important. Obviously, you need to fill out the starting lineup, but I think having those guys come off the bench, that is way more important to me right now than getting a Paul George. So let's use that cap space to build a solid core, like 8-man rotation, 7-man rotation, whatever Nick Nurse wants to do, more so than going after the big splash. I don't know. Get more bang for your buck that way. But you can let me know what you think. Maybe I'm just being an idiot and I think I'm overrating the Sixers anyway, but we'll see. Be sure to check out my boys over at the Clashing Conferences podcast. They're doing some great things for the NBA as they wrap up. There is a Major League Baseball version coming as well. So anywhere you get your podcast, as well as on YouTube, the Clashing Conferences podcast. No Mishkov update for the Flyers, but Stanley Cup, I believe, resumes again tonight. And I didn't really talk about this, but it's been there. It's been there now that they're up 1-0. But Sergei Bobrovsky has been lights out this year. It has been for the past couple years, and he was on the Flyers, and unfortunately, the Flyers chose Ilya Bryzgalov over Sergei Bobrovsky, and here is Bobrovsky back in the Stanley Cup on the verge of winning. So just kind of underscores it and shows just how much of a mess the organization has been recently, which that is Danny Briere and Keith Jones's main focus right now is cleaning up. But figured I had to mention that. But no update on Mishkov. This week, I think, is when sort of that self-imposed deadline by the KHL came in. But we'll see. All right, today is a special day in Philly sports history. It is the day of records. So instead of doing the usual one event, we're going to go through, and there is 6 today, or 5. And that is because a lot of record-breaking things happened this day in Philly sports history. So let's start with 1972. And on this day in 1972, the Phillies lost to the Braves 15-3. Hank Aaron hit a grand slam, which was number 649 for his career. That put him past Willie Mays for number 2 all time. The grand slam was his 14th, which tied Gil Hodges for the National League record. For those keeping score at home, Hank Aaron is currently number 2 on the all-time home run list behind Barry Bonds. Willie McCovey leads the National League with 18 grand slams. A-Rod is the major league leader with 25. And just a bonus here, because it didn't happen on this day, but Hank Aaron also hit his 700th home run against the Phillies. So he loved him some Phillies pitching. All right, moving on to 1974. And this isn't so much a record, but just like a Herculean feat. The Phillies beat the Astros 12-0. Mike Schmidt hit an absolute bomb at the Astrodome. It was like 300 feet. It's still rising in the air. It hit one of the speakers, fell down, and he was held to a single. They estimated that it would have traveled 550 feet. Like I said, it was an absolute bomb. And after the game, he said, if I miss the home run title by one, I'm going to look back at this. But no need to fear. Mike Schmidt won the home run title in 1974 with 36 homers. But would he have had 549 or should he have had 549 for his career if it wasn't for the speaker in the Astrodome? And if I remember correctly from hearing stories, I think the Astrodome, they changed the height of those speakers after Schmidt's shot. But think about that. 550 feet is what they estimated because he hit it so hard, and it was still rising 300 feet into the outfield when it hit the speaker. So an absolute bomb from Mike Schmidt on this day in 1974. Might have been the hardest hit and longest single ever hit in the Astrodome. All right, moving ahead for some more Phillies Astros. The 1981 Phillies beat the Astros 5-4. Pete Rose singled off Nolan Ryan in the first inning to tie Stan Musial for the National League record for hits with 3,630. As we all know, Pete would go on to break that record and then break Ty Cobb's record, amassing over, I think it's 4,200. I forget how many he had for his career, but I think it was 4,200 roughly is what the record was. So Pete Rose tied Stan Musial on this day in 1981. Fast forward to 2014, Phillies beat the Padres 5-2. Jonathan Papelbon with his 300th save. He was the second fastest behind Trevor Hoffman to get the 300 saves. Jonathan Papelbon, believe it or not, is the Phillies' all-time leader in saves, and he is number 11 all-time on that list. And then finally, in 2019, the Phillies lost to the Diamondbacks 13-8. However, it was a slugfest. 10 players hit a home run in the game, 10 different players, which tied a Major League Baseball record. 13 total combined between the two teams' home runs. That did set a Major League record for home runs by each team combined. But the Phillies lost to the Diamondbacks. Stop me if you've heard that one before. So it was a day of milestones and record settings on this day in Philly sports history. In 1972, Hank Aaron hit his 649th home run, moving to number 2 all-time, passing Willie Mays. That happened in a game against the Phillies. Then you have Mike Schmidt hitting an absolute bomb that should have been a home run, but hit the speaker in the Astrodome, and due to the ground rules, he only got a single out of it. In 1981, Pete Rose tied Stan Musial's record for hits in National League history before going on to become the Hit King. 2014, Jonathan Papelbon got his 300th save. He is still the all-time Phillies leader in saves. And then in 2019, the Phils and the Diamondbacks, 10 different players hit home runs in a game, tying a Major League record, and the 13 combined home runs set a Major League record. It was hard to choose between them all, so I'm like, this is a record-setting, milestone-type day. It's a Monday. Phils are off. They lost in London. Let's have a little bit of fun. All right, finally today, speaking of fun, let's take a trip down Phillies Memory Lane, and today we're going to spotlight Tom Herr, second baseman. Tommy Herr was a lot better than what I thought he was. He was an undrafted free agent by the Cardinals in 1974. He is a Lancaster, PA native. Signed with the Phillies as a free agent before the 89 season. Played a little over a year and a half from 1989 to 1990 with the Phillies. Traded to the Mets August of 1990 for 2 minor leaguers. But with the Phillies, he hit .277 with 6 homers and 46 doubles, so he was solid for them. But in his career, he was an all-star in 1985. He's in the Cardinals Hall of Fame. He was a World Series champion in 1982. And this was, I think, the most intriguing part of Tommy Herr, and I did not know this. Never won a Gold Glove, but when he retired, he had the highest fielding percentage for National League second basemen of all time with a .989 fielding percentage, which was later broken by Ryan Sandberg when he retired. But Tommy Herr, Lancaster County, PA, and played for the Phillies for 2 years. Was solid for a couple of bad teams. But overall, I mean, not bad numbers. Traded to the Mets, but made his living with the Cardinals. Was a solid fielder, an okay hitter, but he's a Cardinals Hall of Famer. Just to me, fits the category of one of those guys from those Phillies teams that I grew up with that were just dreadful, but I watched them every week anyway. So Tommy Herr is today's Phillies Memory Lane Spotlight. Lots happening on this day in Philly sports history. Phillies and D-backs broke the Major League record for most home runs in a game. Jonathan Papelbon with his 300th save. Pete Rose tying Stan Musial for the National League hit record. Mike Schmidt hitting a blast that hit a speaker in the Astrodome. And Hank Aaron hitting his 649th homer against the Phillies, moving past Willie Mays for number 2 all time. Be sure to answer the question of the day. Should Taijuan Walker get his next start? Did he do enough in London to earn it? I think we were all expecting a lot worse than what we got out of him. So did he do enough to stay in the rotation? 267-495-8531. Get you in. Text me. Leave a voicemail. Whatever you need to do. Get anything Philly sports related off your chest. I'm here for you. I have an ear to listen. So let me know what you're thinking. Still getting excited. I'm going to be probably recording the Selection Friday show. I couldn't figure out how to do it live, and I wasn't comfortable enough to do it live. So I'm going to be able to record it and then get things edited. So I'm looking forward to that, breaking down the brackets and giving you guys some information on the Ultimate Nickname Tournament. So stay tuned for that. Go have yourself some Monday. It looks like it's going to be another decent day as the week goes. It's going to warm up, though. So go enjoy your Monday. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History for June 10th, 2024. I'm Jim Montgomery, and until next time, I'll see you when I see you.